Okay, what we have in front of us right here is where the most enduring image icon of the 20th century was filmed. The famous movie Safety Last in 1922 with Harold Lloyd and Mildred Davis. Anybody who's a fan of films or not, or just a popular culture, has seen an image of Harold Lloyd hanging from that clock all their lives. Well, this is where they filmed it, here at 908 South Broadway in downtown Los Angeles. If you can believe it, he only spent $121,000 and he made $1.5 million. And it was one of his most famous movies, one of his most successful. And he built that famous set up there so it dovetails down the street, kind of like an ingenious, tricky way that he did it, where it looks like he's hanging from the front of a facade along the street, Broadway, the Great White Way of the West. Thankfully, it's still extant, but as you can see, it's deserted. And luckily, they haven't torn it down like they've done all this right here, and these prohibitively expensive lofts that they're putting up all over downtown LA. And it's, if you're at all interested, it's built in Gothic revival, and it was built in 1914. We're the most iconic, enduring image of the 20th century in all our psyches of the great Harold Lloyd hanging from the top of that building from the clock. Okay, let's go across the street and let me show you fans of cinema and popular culture how in what direction you see the front of the set up there where it dovetails along, and you can see North Broadway. But the problem is that great white building right there that's covered up right there. Okay, you get a good shot in the film. Well, that was called H. Hamburger and Sons Department Store, and that too, it's covered up because they're making high-end lofts right there. And too bad I couldn't take a shot from this angle, but it was built in 1908. It was the biggest department store west of Chicago at the time, and then May Company bought it in 1925, and it actually had an 80-foot long soda fountain. And here's the Orpheum Theater, the famous Orpheum, built in 1926. And then the famous Eastern Columbia Art Deco building, built in 1930. Luckily, it's still here, pretty damn good shape. And if you look closely, when you see Harold Lloyd, his right hand, his finger and thumb are missing. He's wearing a prosthetic in the film because he blew it off holding what they called a prop bomb for a photo that he was taking. And he made this film with a great Hal Roach. He worked for Hal Roach Studios that would give us the famous, enduring, terrific, fantastically funny Laurel and Hardy later on in the 20s. And like I said in the other video that I did where they filmed Liberty on that corner building right there, this was the United Artists Theater, flagship theaters that Charlie Chaplin built to showcase their films. That they were all they were incorporated with Mary Pickford, D.W. Griffith, anyway, they couldn't make enough films to pay for their studios. So what they did was they ended up hiring Joseph Schenck, who was already an independent producer, and they went into business with him. And this is the corporation that they Charlie Chaplin and Mary Pickford created to build these flagship theaters, United Artists, that would showcase their films right here. Okay, well, I can at least hear myself talk, because when you come on the weekday, it's impossible, and there's absolutely no parking. So here's a great shot of the famous United Artists building. And then, of course, let's not forget Douglas Fairbanks. He was one of the United Artists. Okay, well, there's a little virtual tour. Safety Last, like I said, being the 97th most famous film according to the AFI. Okay, and wherever you're at, Harold Lloyd, Stan and Ollie, Douglas Fairbanks, Mary Pickford, all the happiness you brought to the world. Good night. For you film buffs all over the world, especially you fans of the Harold Lloyd film Safety Last, I wanted to get a shot from this perspective on the north side for posterity, where he built the set up upon that roof right there, where he's hanging from that clock. One of the most enduring, iconic images of the 20th century. And here's another shot of that building in the background that you see. Unfortunately, as you can see, it's covered up. They're turning them into lofts. That was once the H. Hamburger and Sons department store. That's a white building that you see in the background. Okay, well, I thought this would be a great shot from this angle. Harold Lloyd, he parted ways with Hal Roach in 1924, and then he made The Freshman, Girl Shy, The Kid Brother, and Speedy, and then he made films until 1947. Okay, well, there you go. Safety Last, 1923. That's where he built the famous set, and you can see on YouTube how they built the set. Okay, thank you, and please subscribe to my channel. And Harold Lloyd, good night, sweet prince.